So this week, my calves taught me the same story that my code did. Sounds weird, right? But I think sometimes pushing for a breakthrough really means you have to listen to your body or your code, and it might just be screaming, nope, nope, not this way, mate, not this way. So let me tell you about split squats, uphill sprints, and why our AGI testing framework is not quite ready for you yet, but also why that's actually a good thing. Let me explain. So my training plan for this week, as like for every week right now, has a long, at least 15K trail run with quite some vert in it as well. And also, it had a 7K with some uphill sprints in it. And me, because I'm an idiot, on the day before doing that, I went to the gym and did split squats to work out some imbalances, right? Because you also need to do that. So I did that. It was fine. Then I did the 7K with uphill sprints. It was hard. And then the next day, my calves were like, no, mate. Take a break. Take it easy. So, getting older and smarter, I actually listened to my body once and I gave myself a couple of extra rest days before I did the other 15K. And now here's the thing, right? It turns out that building our AGI, our artificial ghostwriter intelligence, just had the same lesson for me this week. We were pushing so hard to tie up all the bits and pieces and close the loop from creating a strategy to creating a hypothesis to creating posts that test the hypothesis to reading the learnings from that and re-informing our strategy. And basically, we've got all the bits and pieces, but when putting it together, the system just said, no, mate, no, not quite there yet, not quite ready. But look, here's why I'm actually excited about this. Look, so we are building this massive, massive feature, and it's the first time that I'm doing something fully with Claude Code, right? So I started developing the architecture. This is our SRS for this feature. It's about 400 lines, and that's just one of many documents. So this is really a big feature with many, many feature branches, many, many different steps. It's the AGI, right? The artificial ghostwriter intelligence. And it's a normal thing if you develop like a big feature in software, that when you start to put it all together, there's always like odd bits and ends and loose bits and ends that don't quite fit together yet and that you have to tweak. And I was expecting that to happen here as well, especially because like we really, really heavily relied on the AI, on Claude, to work it out. But to my surprise, it was actually minimal. Like, yes, we have to do like some rearrangements and some tweaks here and there, and we might lose some edge case features here and there to get like the core out and working now. But really, I was surprised by how well it all plugs together. And this is a massive feature that I think I couldn't have developed, definitely not that quickly, without AI. So yeah, long story short, it still resulted in us not being able to ship this week. I really want to test this a lot and tweak and tweak and tweak and iterate on it before pushing that basically into beta, which then would be the live test with you guys. But I guess that's just what happens if you build something new, transformative, and even with Claude Code superpowers, and trust me, I feel like fucking Superman with Claude Code. But even Superman needs to make sure he gets the wiring right. But while we are perfecting AGI, let me show you who's absolutely crushing it right now. And that's Sabahudin. And I had the honor to do a little, I guess, webinar or podcast with him, where I showed him how he can use content in to up his commenting game, basically. And the cool thing is that Sabah has like this great framework. And basically he's saying, 70% of the people that he comments on before he pushes his content live see his content in their feed. And that, of course, is really, really powerful to get more impression and more engagement on your stuff, right? And he's got like these lists, right? So basically he has custom searches in LinkedIn that he saves, he bookmarks those pages, and that creates like these little clean feeds for him. And he says that he can only do that for up to 15 people. And I showed him how he can do that much better and much easier within Contentin and get all the benefits, and also how our comment analytics can actually help him to see which comments generate like the most impressions for him, where commenting efforts basically are well spent, I guess. It's already live on YouTube. I'll put the link in the description. Really can recommend you watch this. It was like, I think the first time that I showed this side of Contentin and how it can be used for this approach, right? My goal for Contentin was always to be the one content creation suite for LinkedIn. And this is actually a very, very good part of that. And really his commenting and content strategy plugs very well with the Contentin feature. So this is a really, really insightful little webinar. I think it's about 30 minutes or something. Highly recommended. Now, something else that I want to talk about from this week, and kind of a realization that I had. Starting out in my career as a developer, if you want to call it that way, it used to stress me out like crazy when people found bugs, right? Because it's like, fuck, stuff that I build is broken. And over the years, like eventually I came to accept that as a fact of software development, and it didn't like cause anxiety in me anymore. Like, okay, there's a bug, we'll test it, we'll fix it fast, we keep shipping. It's just part of software life, I guess. But here's the real transformation that I think if you actually want to be an entrepreneur instead of a developer, that you have to do. And that is that I've completely reframed the way I look at this in my head. If somebody reaches out and tells me about a bug or tells me about a feature request, this is the best thing that can actually happen to you as a founder. Because A, it shows that people care about your product and are actually interested in like using it, to the point where they're like, I really want to do this, but it doesn't let me do it. Please help me, please fix this. And also it's actually the only and by far the best way to learn about your users and improve your product and just make it as epic as humanly possible. And that's, really beautiful when you think about it. It's the same with training for the marathon, I guess. If it hurts a little, you know that you're on the right track, right? You're like building something new. You're extending your capabilities. And it inevitably comes with soreness, muscle pain, a little discomfort, and I guess that discomfort is the greatest teacher that you can find. Speaking of reframing things, LinkedIn tends to get so much hate. Honestly, I think people just don't get it. Like they just don't get how to use LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is the biggest B2B database in the freaking world. Where else can you reach out and find basically any CEO that you want to talk to? I think there is no better platform or way to do B2B lead generation. LinkedIn really is, I think, the mightiest weapon that we have in B2B marketing. But of course, you need to know how to use it properly, right? Which brings me to some weird observations that we did with, content, really. People talk about the LinkedIn cringe and everything is so samey, especially since AI came along. But the thing is, the quote-unquote standard shit is still the shit that works the best. So whenever we think like we're doing something creative, it usually doesn't work that well, right? Look at this. Two good examples. A fairly standard post, image of myself. You have enough time for LinkedIn, but you just don't wanna. It's a standard formatted post right out of Contentin. It's well written, it's good, it worked. 60 likes, 33 comments, almost 500 impressions. Then we had this one, which I found like super nice, right? Get the pictures. It says, we have new image types. Come try them out on contentin.io. I'll be waiting for you. It's so freaking cool, but it didn't get any tractions, right? No comments, basically half the impressions of the other post. So here's my theory. I don't think that it's people that do not get the creative approach. It's the algorithm. The algorithm just works with what works for most people, which is why it's all a bit similar and all like tried and tested formats that seem to work the best. I guess it makes sense, right? The algorithm is trained on millions of these standard posts and it just knows how to deal with them and it just knows how to roll them out and show them to people. So we're kind of stuck in this place where we have to write for the algorithm and for people. And maybe it comes with that little pain that whenever you try something a little different, it actually doesn't know how to deal with that. The algorithm, that is. But in a sense, that's also quite liberating because you can just stick to the stuff that works and you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? And the game really comes down to how do you stay authentic and get your own voice into these tried and tested formats that are working for the algorithm. And that's exactly what we are cracking with Continent. So next week, fingers crossed, we're getting the AGI out there for you guys. You know, connecting those little dots and then getting it rolling and get the whole learning loop to close and re-inform the strategy. So it's gonna happen, and it's gonna happen next week. Building AGI is not overnight, and sometimes you just got to listen to the system when it says, not yet, mate, not yet. But we're planning to do more user collaborations, actually, and create these little demos like I did with Sabahudin. So if you have any challenge, please reach out to me on LinkedIn or drop a comment down here. And if you're up to it, we can make a nice collaboration out of it, right? Create a little video, showcase your profile, showcase your content, and you get my personal insights on how you can improve your LinkedIn B2B marketing and how you can make content work better for you and reach your goal on LinkedIn. Until then, 2 ways that I can help you to nail your LinkedIn B2B lead generation. Try Continent, 14-day free trial. It gets rid of 90% of all the commenting and content hustle, and it just makes your life a lot easier, I promise. Number 2, the Done For You service. It's crystallizing. We actually had talks with a positioning expert this week. So I have Mark, who's the sales expert. There's me, content expert, and now we've got the third person as a positioning expert. And if you plug those 3 competences together, you'll become unstoppable on LinkedIn. Now, if you excuse me, my calves have finally forgiven me, and I've got some more running to do and some more coding and testing. See you next week.